early on when we were, developing the stories for the first season, Sam Register wanted to do a Christmas-based episode, thinking that Cartoon would actually do a special Christmas, episode promotion for, the whole network would do Christmas, stories, and well, of course that didn't happen, but which is good actually because our show stood out even more because of it. But I typically don't like doing themed shows, Christmas shows, but we were like, well, what's the hook here? And basically it was our version of a Charlie Brown Christmas, and Red Tornado was Charlie Brown, meaning that he's the most sensitive character in the piece, even though he's the robot, and yet he really doesn't get what he wants in the end. So
yeah, it sounds like Charlie Brown.
And even to the scoring of some of the music cues, it was very inspired by Charlie Brown Christmas. So it was basically someone who's not human trying to find the meaning of Christmas. That's the broad strokes, but ultimately with this show, I don't want the themes to overwhelm the fun of just a good adventure. So hopefully, we didn't overdo it with the theme too much. It just happens to take place during Christmas, but I'm not trying to make it a heartwarming, watch it every Christmas kind of thing. I mean, people can do that if they want, but it wasn't my
intent. That's your goal, right?
It wasn't my goal to make is it perennial? Is that what they call it?
Yep.
Right. It wasn't my goal to do that, but it was just to make a fun episode, and places it ended up being a lot darker than originally envisioned, but with showing the Wayne's murder and everything.
Which is surprising considering you were so gung-ho with the fun aspect that you'd even touch on that. I'm just a little
surprised. Well, I always said, the earlier reports or interviews, I always said this is still the Batman everyone knows. We didn't change his origin or anything.
Right.
And even in the old Adam West show, they mentioned the fact that his parents were murdered. A couple of times they mentioned it. People forget that about that show, but
Did they mention it?
Yes, they mentioned it. Believe me, I know. I have. Yes, they mentioned it. They got it wrong though, because he said that his parents were murdered by. He was murdered by criminals, plural.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, I never wanted the show to ignore the fact that his origin came from his parents getting murdered. But again, like anything, just because something tragic happens to a character doesn't mean they have to. It's not a de facto that the characters or the stories you do based on that character have to be all grim and gritty. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's tragic things happen to characters or people all the time, and it's up to them how they,
It's whether you're going to be mired in it or not.
Right. You can choose. I mean, that's a way to go with the stories, and Lord knows I've been involved with shows that did that, and that's fine. But it also doesn't have to rule how every single story you do about that character. So, periodically we'll touch on darker themes in the show. And the other thing is, people also assume that you can't do a kids show that doesn't explore darker themes. Mm-hmm. You're either doing a light, fluffy, frothy kids show, or you're doing, something that really skews adult, but you're just saying it is a kid's show and it's not really.
Right.
I mean, we're going to tell good stories, and some of them will have darker themes in them, and there will be, Cartoon has been very accommodating to us as far as telling different kinds of stories. I mean, we weren't told, make this show just so light and as air. We definitely have themes that are darker coming up, and we'll try to, the thing is not to do it so jarringly that it takes a person out of what is the general fun of the show. But I look at shows like Astro Boy. I'm going way back where, it was a kiddie show and it was done in a very exaggerated style, but it was also, had other themes in it. and some of the older kids shows actually could be very dark, even though they're, we think of them as very light kiddie fare. But anyway, so yeah, that was what we were trying to do with the Christmas show. Funhouse is a character. Originally, he was supposed to be Toyman, but because of Superman's not being available, we kind of came up with the composite.
Superman's villains weren't available. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, when a character is unavailable to us, that kind of means everything to do with that character is unavailable to us.
Okay.
So that's how the licenses tend to work. So anyway, he is kind of a, someone said he was a made-up villain, and I know what they mean, but I'm like, well, all of them are made up,
Right.
But I know they mean it's not really in the comics, so if it's not in the comics, it's not, we can't really get in with it. But again, people say that, but Harley Quinn wasn't originally in the comics either, and now everyone loves her. But not saying, Funhouse was, I think he's fun. I don't know if we're going to bring him back.
Right.
If we do, we may do something fun with him. Maybe he will meet the Toyman when we, and hopefully when we get the Superman availability. But I thought he suited the purposes of the story. And,
right.
And what else is about that? Let's see. Baby Doll made a guest appearance, and actually Bruce Timm did too. a brunette Bruce Timm, but.
Now, Superman's tied up because of what? The movie or something? And is that why you can't use the character? Or?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't question them when they say you can't use that character. I just know that, okay, that changes plans we may have had, so we just go with it. And then, from my experiences on Justice League and even Legion, that a character may not be available for whatever reason when you ask one year, and then the next year they're available. So
you just don't know.
I'm patient, yeah.
Yeah, that's good, because you have to be.
Right.
Well, Red Tornado, this is the first time he's been visualized, I think, in any kind of form.
No, he's on Justice League.
Was he? I don't remember him being on.
Yeah, he was on, on Justice League we only used him to blow him up. But he was he was in The Return, and he was in Panic in the Sky, I believe.
Oh, as far as now.
Yeah.
I like to pretend I'm an expert, but I'm not.
And he was in one other, but I can't remember it. But yeah. So he's been visualized before, but this is the first one where we